and I am going to go over tonight's full 4 NHL DFS slate. And unfortunately, we have 14 games, and we'll have to keep it simple. I think that's the best way to go about it. And then we're going to have one game tomorrow. So we got a tough slate today and no slate tomorrow, but that's just what the NHL schedule is going to serve us. So let's go forward with what we got, and we'll keep it simple and build lineups using SaberSim. And, I want to just build kind of out of the box and see how it goes. And then maybe we'll tweak things and play around with it. But my idea is just keep it simple. There are too many games to try and get heavy into this strategy or that. There's so many spots. I would rather see what we get and then maybe see if news comes up or anything else that we want to change later. But, other than that, I would keep it simple, stupid. So I'm going to run lineups maybe before just taking a look at the top values. It's all D guys on DraftKings. There's no forwards showing up for value. So I imagine you get a lot of these. And boy, I don't know. I mean, you look at the projections. We'll see what we get to. Marino and Cole both standing out for Utah. But look at the ownership SaberSim has on them right now. I think that's going to come down throughout the day. So I wouldn't worry about it too much. But I feel like when we run contest sims, with SaberSim assuming this kind of ownership on these punt D-men, that we're not going to get to these guys. And we are going to get to the Mosers, the Spences, and the Murphys. So we'll see if our intuition is right. So I don't really need a minimum salary. I don't see why that matters. And NHL, I just want to build the lineups as naturally as possible. So I'm going to go ahead and build, and then we'll run contest sims to see how it goes. We have to make 2 changes per the DraftKings rules. Go higher, one lower, so the ownership is still the same proportions. And we'll go ahead and build for DraftKings. After this, we'll do the same thing for FanDuel and see what we happen to come up with. Let me go while that's running and put the sims in. So we've got the flagship loaded up. We'll run for, I play in the 222 a lot. Play one entry, so let's run for the 222. Come up, do save. There we go. Up. Now, of course, we have 2. Okay. Sable 1. Now we have to run it for the flagship as well. What's the max on this? I don't think it's a 150 max. Let's just say we're running 50 lineups. Give us a good range. And then I know people like to play the 20 max. Let's find one of these 20 max contests. Just the hip check. That's the $1 20 max. So let's run a simulation for that. If you're putting $20 in, good. We got our build. Going. Right. Let's run the sim, see who we get to. This is my process. This is how I would do it if it was 10 minutes before lock. I'm not a hand builder. I can hand build. I think it's a good exercise. We do it sometimes on stream. Gives us an idea for the slate, where value is, where we might like to kind of let the builder lean, but ultimately I want the sims to dictate to me where I'm going, maybe based on some of my assumptions. So let's see. I think this is the flagship. See what our top ROI stacks. A lot of onslaughts. Not surprised. SaberSim favors the onslaughts. And it sure makes a whole lot of sense to me. Why? Because you want to grab as much correlation as possible. Correlation is king. Don't forget it because baseball's starting in a week. 5-man stacks, 6-man stacks. It just gets undervalued. Then you got a couple 4-2s in here, no 4-3s. But I mean, I'm okay with this. If I was playing run the flagship, let's see, said we were going to run 50 in there. You know, I'd be happy with these ons, and I would probably say forget the 4-mans. Maybe I would play the 4-3s in a large field. The 4s with 4 1-offs, no thanks. I would X that out. Now, what teams do we get? What is it like in this early part of the day? About 50% Rangers. I mean, we have Rangers and then just a really diverse portfolio. We get Rangers and everything else. For our onslaughts, a lot of Rangers. Tampa thrown in there, a lot of Rangers. A bunch of Dallas thrown in there. Then diverse. You know, I don't think I'd want that many Rangers. So what would I do? We got a projection update, okay. What would I do? You know, I would come and limit it. Say, give me 35% New York. I don't want to be that over leveraged. Now I have a much more diverse portfolio. That's how I do it. Let's see what happens for these kind of single entry or 3-max, 5-max types. Actually, let's go to the hip check. Let's go to the 20-max first. People like to run for this. Who are we getting? Rangers is about the same rate. Stacks, about the same. I mean, it makes sense to me. It's also a pretty big tournament, similar to the flagship. Let's see what our top 5 lineups look like if we're doing a small field. Remember, this 222 has only 167 people. Onslaughts, is it all Rangers? All Rangers. You get a Colorado in there. I like that. Spend up to probably be a little different. Let's see what the Colorado looks like. Makar, McKinnon, Natchez, Nichushkin, Tays. Correlate with the goalie. Punt D in the flex. Punt everywhere. Just spend up. Get the whole Colorado. They could score. We know that. Ottawa's pretty mid. If you don't want to play New York in the single entry at this early stage based on ownership, contest size, etc., SaberSim's liking some Colorado. Let's see if we went to our top 10. Still all that New York. But let's see what the ROIs are like. What's our top ROI here? 96. If we go down to the 10th lineup, oh, look at that. I didn't see that. We got a 4-2-2, Columbus and Vegas. I love it. What's the ROI? 72. I mean, it's not much difference in the ROI. I mean, 20%, it seems like a lot, but there's variance in the ROIs, right? If we ran this again, we might get variation because we're simulating the contest, but we're only simulating it 10,000 times. That seems like a lot, but it's not. Anyone can bink. Now, one thing I want to do, I want to go back to the flagship here for a second and see what the highest ROI lineup is. We already kind of determined that it loves the onslaughts. We got up to our highest lineup right there, having a 96.5% ROI in the flagship. And it is a Rangers 6-man. So what if, knowing that we get the highest ROI out of these 5 men and 6 men, what if we went to our main page, the beginning? No, we don't have to do that, actually. Let's reset to get those new projections. Okay. And we said, just build us onslaughts. Just build us as many onslaughts as you possibly can. And we'll give the Sims only onslaughts to choose. Is it going to pick out, now that we'll have thousands, we'll probably have 2,000, 3,000 onslaughts. And now that it has that many to choose from, will it find, since it likes them anyway, will it find onslaughts that beat that 96% ROI in the flagship? So run it that way and rebuild. This is going to be a little slow, right? Because we're telling the builder you can only do this certain thing. You could only build 5-mans and 6-mans. Search. As we say, search for them, find them. So we're heavily constraining it, but that's okay because we're going to run this experiment. And then we'll do FanDuel real quick. I'll just run for the flagship there. People ask all the time. What looks good on FanDuel? Look how slow. Yeah, that's okay though. Because we're doing this, this is the process. So before lock, go ahead and do this. Give yourself 10 minutes, plenty of time. You say, well, why do you do that? Well, because we want to get as close to post as possible. The more information, the better. Markets tend towards efficiency, and that's true of these projections and the betting markets that they're derived from. So the closer we get to post, the more efficient they are, and the better our projections. I mean, that's a minor edge. People say, well, what's the difference? Early on, the markets are tending towards efficiency anyway. They're bet into overnight. They move maybe overnight in the morning. And that's true. We're making a really small difference. But we only have small differences in DFS. DFS is tough. It's tougher and tougher and tougher. And so I recommend hammering any small difference you can get. Those are the edges we need to win. If you guys have time, I always like to check news, things like that. And from time to time, I will go to Natural Stat Trick. It's like a popcorn machine that you have for the NBA, but for hockey. You can just pull up games, see how teams are running their lines and so on. I mean, sometimes you find things that just can't be accounted for in the Sims. If you look at how teams are running things, that's really helpful, especially on small slates. All right, good. I don't think it got to 5,000, but that's okay. We're just running an experiment. Got 3,600 here. Okay, so we have 3,600 onslaughts. Does it find different ones? Does it find non-Rangers ones? What's our distribution? We'll see in the flagship. In our top, we did 50 lineups before. Let's do 50. Let's see what the teams and ROIs look like. Good. Sort it for the flagship. Good. All right. First things first, teams. Still the Rangers, but a lot more diversity. And then Toronto crops up over Dallas. So if you build more onslaughts and you just get to more Toronto in your pool, it's finding more good ones. You get way less Dallas, more Ottawa, more Washington. You still get a ton of Rangers, but not nearly as much. I mean, this is near where we did after getting like 60% in the first run. See what our highest ROI is like. It's less, actually. So I don't know what to make of that. I have to think about that. One of the things it does with the Rangers, they're so low owned, it puts in these higher owned punt guys. Punt D at 18%. So more diversity we got to, but we got to a little less top range ROIs, although we get Dallas showing up right in the top range here. Toronto showing up in the top range, 5th, 4th, Ottawa. So our top range is not just Rangers either. There we go. Did this word? Do something for a second here. Okay. Now it's sorted properly. Look at that insane ROI. Now we're not going to expect that. We're not going to get a 600% ROI. If we get a 6% ROI, 16% ROI, pretty damn happy. There you go. Big difference in our top range. Huge difference in our top range if we sort by ROIs. Let's go ahead. People always ask who you're playing on FanDuel. I can't tell you who I'd play if I was running this right before lock, but I could tell you who I'm getting to in SaberSim right now. And I don't do the like I don't think in FanDuel you need to demand too much of it. I just don't want to build with these tiny stacks. 4-man's the highest, and I would love to just play 4-mans on FanDuel, but I'll let the builder choose from 3-mans. We'll see who we get to in the flagship on FanDuel, and then we'll get out of here. Maybe we'll look at some bets. Let's take a look at the pay dirt model, see what kind of bets we get to. I'm at the library. The internet's slow here. That's part of the reason these are going slow. Do we have our sim loaded up? Perfect. Flagship's only 1,000 up top on FanDuel. They're gearing up for baseball. They're gearing down in general. Lazy Lopez, really wish NHL would consider DFS enjoyment when building schedules. Yeah, you're damn right. I wish too. I mean, it sounds like facetious to say that. Like, why would the NHL care about DFS? But they care about betting, right? I mean, is it good to have, or they should care about betting? I mean, DraftKings ad for the sports book and a FanDuel ad for the sports book every 2 seconds, not to mention all the other ones. And they operate in Canada. In fact, they don't have DFS in Canada. I mean, I don't know. They should care. They should care about gambling. It's a big revenue driver for sports. Huge, bigger than traditional fandom. Let's see who we get to on FanDuel. Let's say we're running 50 in the flagship there, $4.50. A little cheaper, 1,000 up top. Okay. I mean, FanDuel's always gearing down, but gearing up for baseball. What's something? Big difference here already, I could tell. We get some of the threes. I would just say, just forget the threes. I don't want them. I want maximum correlation in hockey. I mean, how many levers are there in DFS, especially a sport like hockey? There's leverage, there's ownership leverage, individual and combination, and then there's correlation leverage. And people aren't inclined to check the latter. They're running less. So I want to be over on my correlation. I want to take advantage of people who I don't think are pulling that lever hard enough. So who do we get to? A lot of Utah. Rangers showing up. Carolina, pretty diverse here. Pretty diverse. Not too many Rangers. 22%, I could live with that if we're playing on both sites. I still have a lot of exposure to the Rangers. I might, you might say just give me 10% Rangers because I'm still like 40% exposed on DraftKings. You could do something like that. So that's who I'd play on FanDuel. Let's look at the pay dirt model. Once you guys remember, if you go to TrueDFS.com after you like and subscribe to get more content like this, you can take a look at the packages we have. And there's trial packages now that you could test this out. And when you do move from the trial to the full package, you get the Saber Sim. You now get the pay dirt model. You get Sheets' projections, Goldie's projections, Brandon Cruz's stuff for NASCAR, and now all the new tools from Ace Stukas that we added for NASCAR. So check out the trial and try to come now because the prices are going to go up. So it's a really good time to get on board. And I was a member before I did this, and there's just so much here. The prices are not that much more than they are if you just went through SaberSim or Paydirt or any of those places, and you get all of it. So really great time to be getting on board. There's also the premium Discord. People are chopping it up in the voice channel, like before lock and NBA. A lot of good stuff. So let's just take a look before we get out of here at like the betting model. We were getting like the best values and these assist props. The problem with that is they're kind of long shots. Like, you're getting 2 to 1s, 2.5 to 1s, stuff like that. So let's just look at like shots on goals, what the best over and the best under is on this slate. You got a 23% edge. These also assume our models are perfect, but that's a big edge. We can assume we've got one. In general, on Bouchard, over 2.5 shots. So it's pretty high, but you're getting plus 105, right? If we convert the decimal odds to American. So you get plus money on Bouchard with a pretty strong edge to go over 2.5 shots. You can get it at bet 365. You can still get it with some value at MGM or DraftKings at even money at plus 100. Let's take a look if we want to look at like an under edge on shots. Here you get some big edges. We got an Anaheim Zegras under 1.5 shots. There you go. Big edge on Zegras. You got an under 1.5 shots for Sanheim. Forsling. So, I've been doing this every day, just looking at the model, seeing what the top edges are. You can go to other props. We don't have to do shots on goal. We can do points, shots, blocks, assists. Usually with these assists, you find big edges. Just major long shots. Let's see what the top edges on someone to hit an assist. 30%. Damn. Jake Neighbors at plus 220. So you can go that route. Just use some form of Kelly staking or use quarter staking, something like that, a quarter unit, since this is a long shot, if you're going to play it. And that's all I got today. Come join us, like and subscribe. What I said about the trials, they're up there. Check it out. See if you like it. I think you will. You come join us in Discord, and good luck on tonight's slate. Let's go.